big, huge fucking internet companies are going to tell you what you can and cannot believe in. We are in a pretty dangerous period, and I just want everyone to acknowledge and take appropriate action to prepare for the next big wave of keto is a bag of shit. Because it's coming. The writing is on the wall, and if you weren't paying attention, and I don't know how, it was all over all the shit. You know, I'm just late to the party. But if you weren't paying attention, Facebook stealth banned the 7-day Banting diet. Now, before you get all up in arms, 2 days later and a whole lot of emails, and the shit got reinstated. However, think of all the channels and the users who are doing the keto thing that didn't have quite the power that Tim Noakes did and many others who were very vocal about this banning. And there was, theories as to why. And of course, Facebook didn't say a fucking word on why. They didn't come out and say, oh, it was an accident. We had a problem with our system. Shit was fucked up. It won't happen again. No, we didn't get none of that. No, it's like, we're Facebook. Fuck you. What's that? No, we're Facebook. We're in charge of you. You're not in charge of us. Fuck off. And you'll find that this theory echoes across Twitter, echoes even here on YouTube. There are so many big companies that are trying to control, for financial reasons, what you think, the products you buy, the information about your life, straight down to your location, where you visit. I can't tell you how many fucking times my phone is like, did you enjoy this restaurant? Or did you enjoy visiting the mall? 5 minutes after I leave. It's tracking my every move. It's selling that data. And I'm really starting to question, even though social media has been core to my business, and I want to ask you guys a question by the end of this video about that, do I really want a couple of my income streams to rely on these big tech companies and their social media platforms? Obviously, YouTube, I have to. It's either that or going back to selling fucking videos through the mail. Wonder how that would work. Believe me, the thought has crossed my mind. But, in my photography, obviously Facebook and Instagram, not so much Twitter, because fuck Twitter. But those two platforms bring me photography customers. I show my images off, and the algorithm occasionally lets somebody see my shit. And then people are like, oh, you take good pictures. Hey, you want to come take our picture? How much do you charge? That's kind of been a business model for me on Facebook. But this is getting fucking out of hand. And here on YouTube, I'm concerned with it because I obviously talk about keto and intermittent fasting, still something that's not supported by the mainstream medical fields and the mainstream dietitian fields, and of course the food industries who pay the bills of all these big companies. They don't support it. So when someone like myself comes on here and tries to spread the word on our health benefits that we're experiencing from these things, we risk getting demonetized, getting deplatformed, getting shut down, getting censored. And, I've seen a stagnant growth on my channel despite the popularity of keto rising. Everyone I talk to around me in my personal life knows about keto. Some people are doing keto proudly. And yet we're not doing much to protect keto, are we? Because these social media platforms are getting ready to start laying the hammer down. And I knew it was coming when they started to talk about conspiracy theories. Basically, it's giving these companies a broad brush to paint anything that, mainstream dogma deems not supported by evidence, not supported by science. So you can't say that. People will be hurt if you say that. You're not allowed to talk about this shit. We will deplatform you. We will shut you down. We will censor you. And I've been watching this decay of social media, for quite a while now. And as somebody who does this partially for a living, it hasn't been very lucrative lately. So I'm beginning to question that. Should we trust these big companies to be the gatekeepers of our information? Now, last I checked, all is right with the world, but this was a wake-up call. As far as, not all is right. CrossFit, a big company, pulled completely out of Facebook. I'm coming across more and more people that are deleting Facebook off their phone, that are essentially not going to be posting or reading posts as much because they don't have their app with them. I'm also considering doing something similar, removing Facebook and, probably Instagram, even though I use that a lot for my photography, from my phone, and then only using it when I'm home. I've considered that. Although Instagram, you kind of can only upload from your phone, so I don't know. I'll have to figure that shit out. So I'm thinking about my options here. I don't want to fuck myself, so to speak, but at the same time, I need to hedge my bets against what's going on with this. There's been a whole lot of drama in the nutrition world, particularly between vegan and carnivore, both considered to be radical diets. I, of course, support carnivore. But they're considered by the mainstream to be radical, unproven by science. So it's just a matter of time before they're attacked. I even saw a 60-minute special, which you can probably look up through the YouTube search, about, us health bloggers, us social media influencers, causing real damage to people. And they showed as an example, it was Australia 60 Minutes, they showed it as an example that a raw vegan who looks damn near to be starving to death has led a lot of people to also damn near starve to death and have numerous health problems. So they outlined that, and I could read right through this. While I agree the veganism has problems, it's not a healthy diet by any stretch of the words. It's definitely still an ethical diet, and it definitely has problems. But I'm not going to sit here, and I'm not here to talk shit about vegans right now. I'm here to say that this sets a precedent for any diet that doesn't fit the mainstream agenda, the mainstream dogma. And I believe the mainstream dogma is business as usual, more plant-based, low-fat solutions so we can cram you full of vegan processed foods, so we can sell our grain, which we've invested heavily in and built our entire food system structured on, and the vegetable oils also that we have built into our entire infrastructure in terms of industrial agriculture. And you should just shut the fuck up if you don't fucking believe in eating that shit. Shut up! You're not allowed to talk to anybody. Deplatformed. We don't like what you're deplatformed. This is fucked up times. I'm seeing a call for more censorship, and it's not even in government hands. This isn't government censorship. This is corporate censorship, because we've put too much of our ability to communicate in the hands of large corporations, and something needs to be fucking done about that. Something needs to be fucking done about that. There's all kinds of whining and my side and your side, and we're all bitching at each other. Meanwhile, we have given an inordinate amount of power, energy, time, money, and influence, and damn near mind control to these fucking corporations. And there's no sign of that changing anytime soon. So what the fuck do we do about it? Well, here's some things I'm thinking about. Obviously, I've already started to prepare for this coming social media company apocalypse. You know, I have my own website. I'll always be posting on that website. So if I magically disappear off of YouTube, if I magically disappear off of Facebook, if Instagram sticks something up my ass and pulls it out of my fucking mouth, you can go to ScottTheTruckDriver.com and find my content, my pictures, or whatever else there. As a side thing, I do also post on Minds.com, which is an independent blockchain in its infancy social media network that puts the censorship in the hands of users. I'm not sure how I feel about that yet, because that could be abused. You know, there's no telling when a mob will start just fucking being your jury and voting. I hope it's randomized. I don't know. I have to look more into that. But that's the only form of censorship, and it's only able to go against things that are against the law, like shout and fire in a crowded theater. You know, the things that were always regulated in free speech that we seem to have forgotten about because we're no longer allowed to think certain things. Did you know that? You're not allowed to think shit. If anybody figures out that you thought that shit that's not allowed, guess what? Your life is over. They'll destroy you. They'll deplatform you. They'll take away your ability to communicate with people. They'll destroy your business. They'll destroy your reputation, and they'll cement that shit into the internet forever. That's what we're looking at. I don't know how any other way to fucking see it. Am I wrong? Look in the comments. Let me know. Am I wrong? How long before my channel is fucked? You know, if I were an investor and I wanted to invest in Scott the Truck Driver, and I looked at the fact that this fucking channel has been growing steadily but slowly over a long period of time, probably would have done better if I not said fuck all the time, or if I was talking about something that was allowed by the mainstream, if I wasn't always talking shit about Monsanto and big companies that are pissing me off all the time. If I wasn't doing all of that, probably would have grown a lot more over these years than I have. But I'm not going to change who I am or sell my soul or clickbait the shit out of everything just because I want that growth. I'd rather have this gradual long-term growth because for the most part, I've had a very good response from all of you that watch my shit. I've, you know, every once in a while I get a dickhead or a vegan or somebody that just completely hates me or whatever. But, most of my like ratios are above 90%. For doing this for 4 years, I'd say that that's a pretty positive community, and I'd like to keep it. And I know that if I were to go viral by clickbaiting the fuck out of everything and putting out negative fucking content all the time, that sooner or later, the ride would be over, And it would just be, I wouldn't even be able to read the comments because I would be just so upset about it. Hasn't been the case, y'all have been a great community, and I'd like to be able to still continue to talk to you no matter how wrong I might be about something. Sometimes I might get it wrong, but that doesn't remove the personal responsibility of people that watch me to do their own homework. I've said repeatedly over the years, I'm not an expert, I'm just an asshole. This is my opinion. If you're going to do what I do, please do the due diligence. Sometimes I talk in rhymes. I'm like a fucked up Dr. Seuss and shit. Do your homework, and then, if you want to experiment on yourself, I'm not taking away people's ability to make their own decisions. If you want to go out and drink tons of beer and eat fucking grains and shit and do all of that, I think it's a bad idea. I think it's a poor life choice. That's my opinions. And that's all I'm doing is sharing my opinions based on the research I've done and the things I've tried for myself. and the results that many of you have told me over the years on this channel. And, you know, does that mean I'm going to get shut down because I'm sharing my opinions and my beliefs, and that people are trying these things and finding success or even finding failure? This has been a journey for me. You can see by looking at old videos of mine that I was definitely wrong about shit occasionally. Because I was new. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I saw something, I tried it, it worked. I was like, yes! I can eat fucking potato chips and Pop-Tarts and drink fucking Gatorade and lose weight because I could fast. I was wrong about that. Took a couple years for me to fucking learn that the hard way. And then I shared that knowledge, and I saved people a lot of trouble because they skipped that whole fucking section of pain and suffering and went straight to the keto. You know, so I guess it boils down to be careful out there with what you allow these social media companies to do. And as for me, most of what I post nowadays is mainly for a business perspective, or just sharing my photography, my creativity on various platforms without telling them any of my personal bullshit, without getting on there and ranting about politics, without getting on there and bitching about some asshole that cut me off in traffic, without talking shit about the random person that pissed me off. I just sit there and I share my creativity, and that's it. I don't go on and brag about how great my life is. Probably not that great, but still. You know, if somebody engages with me and wants to talk to me or through comments, I do tend to respond. But for the most part, you know, other than the occasional, oh, this is cool, I'll share that, I don't post anything really personal about myself on these platforms anymore. I used to a long time ago. And that shit can come back and bite you in the ass. If you were a dick 8 years ago, 9 years ago, they'll dig that shit up. They've been doing it. And then they'll use that to deplatform you now. That's how it works. Internet's got a pretty large stranglehold on our information. It knows more about us than anybody else on the planet. It knows what you're searching for. It knows there's big companies that have power, more powerful than the government in terms of controlling and manipulating your life. That's where we are today. So start looking around for these platforms that are outside that box and support those platforms. Help get them off the ground. It's the only way you can send a message to a big company. I've said this in the past about food companies. The only way you change or take control from corporations is with your own actions and your own money. If everybody ditches Facebook, then Facebook's going to be pretty fucking picky about who they deplatform if they even survive that. And I think that's my prediction, is as their grips tighten on people will be looking for the next big platform. It's happened before. Remember MySpace? Well, Facebook came along and fucked them up. Now Facebook's putting themselves in a position where someone else can come along and fuck them up. So, now normally I share this link on my Facebook page. I'm clearly not going to do that. Don't want to get deplatformed before I have the chance to quit. But, you know, normally I mirror all my content across these platforms. Follow me. I'm ScottTheTruckDriver on Minds. If you're not a member of Minds, click a link below, join. It's like Facebook was when it first came out almost. And it is a little bit more wild, wild west. You might see some shit on there that's going to offend you, but you can block motherfuckers and you'll never see their shit again. You don't have to. You can control what you see and hear instead of some fucking twit sitting in their little fucking cubicle in some fucking corporate fucking overpriced fucking building in San Francisco deciding because of their enlightened fucking college education whether or not you get to think and say these things. And then they destroy it. There you go. Bye. Without even looking at context in most cases. Do you want somebody to have that kind of power over? I sure as fuck don't. And hey, if they come for me, they come for me. I'm a minimalist. I like going out in the woods and getting away from all of this shit on a regular basis. So if it happens, it happens. You know, I'm not going to cry over it. But at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and just take it and be like, yeah, put it in there. Yeah. No, it's not going to happen. I'm going to open my fucking mouth. That's what I do. It's kind of what I do for a living, kind of. But I have backup plans. Backup plans that these corporations have zero power over. And that would be my next suggestion, is to have a backup plan for when these companies overstep their bounds. Where are you going to go? How are you going to keep in touch with everybody? Turns out we still have phones. We still can text. One of my best friends is not on Facebook. If I want to talk to him, I text his ass. If I want him to see a picture of something I did, I text his ass. You know? We've forgotten that we already do have these powerful tools that can let you step outside of at least some of the platform action. Now, arguably, Google controls one of those. Apple controls another. So there's still some big tech companies in there. But you can still buy a dumbass phone. You know, the little fucking flip phones that are like $10 in Walmart, the burners. And neither Google nor fucking Apple have control of those. So if it really gets bad out there, that would be to go. Take it out of the big companies, and yeah, you still have to go through the smaller telecommunication companies. You know, but they're out there. And the reason they exist is because there's a small portion of the population that doesn't want to be involved in all this phone surveillance shit. Freely giving up your information so you have more fucking convenience. And I've been thinking a lot about this. You know, would my life be better if I had a shitty phone? You know, where I couldn't do my work from my phone or instantly post shit. You know, I spend a lot of money on my phone. I have a really awesome phone. I watch a ton of YouTube on my phone. Should I lower that amount by just not having a phone? So these are all questions I'm asking myself. And I'd like to have a little discussion with y'all in the comments about it. You know, what are you thinking about all of this? Am I the only one that's a little bit alarmed about this shit? Am I the only one going, hey, anybody looking? Because it's fucked up. It's fucked up. What are we going to do? We're just going to stay here and fucking take it and shut our fucking mouths? Or are we going to do something about it? And by do something, I mean getting off these platforms. That's the only way you can take away this power. So if you got a ton of friends, start giving them your phone number. Start giving them ways to get in touch with you. And actually go and hang out with the motherfuckers instead of just sitting next to each other in a room looking at the fucking phone together. You know? These are all things. You know, everybody wants this attention, but I can tell you as somebody who, you know, I see people that post on Facebook occasionally. I'm taking a shit and I'm flipping through people's personal posts. And I got to be honest, I often don't give a shit. I'm just like, yeah, that's the same as it was the last time I looked. There's nothing really new going on. Oh, yeah, this person's life's great. They're showing us the highlight reel. Or this person's miserable and hates everybody and everything and wants to share that with everybody. Yeah, I understand. I mean, get it off your chest. But you're just feeding the giant when you do that stuff. And you're not really taking care of yourself and your relationships and your interpersonal relationships. Because I don't feel close to anybody whose posts I read on the fucking internet. I don't feel connected when I'm reading what you did for dinner yesterday, or, you know, who cut you off. And I don't feel that connection. My give a shit meters at an all-time low when I look at that stuff. And some of them could be potentially very significant events. But without that connection, it's hard to share empathy or any other emotions for that matter, when you're not face to face, when you're not in the moment with them, when you're not hanging out with them. You know, I see people post shit all the time that is, you know, questionable, that would have way more impact if I was sitting there eye to eye talking about it, talking it through. And that's way more connection than putting it up there and then having random motherfuckers, some of whom are going to be spiteful, hateful pricks, filling your comments with shit. It's not the same as a face-to-face connection. And we've lost that. You know, there's an epidemic of loneliness. There's plenty of media coverage of this too. Because we're so disconnected. Even though we can put our thoughts out in real time. Somebody's pissing us off, we can whip our phone out and film it. And it'll go fucking viral, and millions of people will be outraged about it. But it's not the same as them giving a shit about you. They don't really care. They're just looking to be entertained or outraged or triggered. And that's what these big media companies have been taking advantage of with all the clickbait shit. So, that's my thoughts. You know, I knew when I started this channel that it could sink or swim. And I'm not thinking it's sunk yet. So don't get me wrong, I'm not saying this is over. There's been times when I thought it is. I don't think this is one of those times. There's a core group of you who watch each one of my videos, and as long as that's there, I'll keep making them. Because I do think people have benefited from what I've shared. You know? And I'm not saying that everybody who posts shit on Facebook and Instagram isn't, you know, sharing something worthwhile. Clearly, there are people that are, and they garner a lot of following. A lot of people care about them. So I understand that. But it's so noisy and filled with negativity and manipulation, and it's become a cesspool in these media. And, you know, YouTube's no different. I've watched a number of videos who are just as bad as some of these posts that I see on Twitter that are divisive, ignorant in some cases, and just outright wrong in other cases. Now, I don't think that any of those people should be censored. That's the difference. Let them have their platform. Let them be out there. But I start to get worried when there's somebody picking and choosing who gets to share, who gets to have an opinion, who gets to have thoughts. Because that is a slippery slope. And you never know. No matter how right you think you are, you never know when you're going to be on the wrong side of that equation. When the majority is going to not agree with you. And they'll want to silence you. Because you might change somebody's minds. You might actually have influence over somebody. And if you aren't doing the right shit for the right fucking companies, then you're not allowed to have influence. You're not allowed to have speech. And it'll end up going back to the old days where the only way you could fucking bitch about shit is to go out on the street and bitch about shit. That's what happened before all these companies were around. You could just walk out there. You might, you know, in the old days, if you'd have walked out there and talked shit, then the governments at the time might have done something bad to you. Or somebody who didn't like what you were saying walk up and punch you in the face. Or worse, back in medieval times. But now we're just doing it with a click. So, I'm glad that the Banting 7-day meal plan didn't get deleted, but at the same time, I would advise all of you to move to a platform that there's no risk of that shit, because it's not the end. The next big prediction for how they're going to tear down keto and carnivore is straight up going to be, without fail, that it's not scientific, therefore you should not be allowed to talk about it. You should not be on these platforms. You're not allowed to. It's not science, not evidence-based. No science. Only the FDA has science. Only the USDA has science. Only the doctors have science. Only the universities have science. And if you're, no matter what your experience is, you could cure cancer of yourself. But if you go on the internet and you share that you cured your cancer, well, it's not scientifically supported, motherfucker. And even though that probably information could help somebody save their own life. But yeah, there's a flip side to the coin. If you're wrong, and some people are wrong, it could cause harm, true. But that does not remove the responsibility of the person taking your advice for doing their own due diligence before they try shit. Last I checked, we're all relatively capable adults. Some of us. It's questionable. I understand. But it's nobody's job to police whether or not we do stupid shit. Because we're going to do stupid shit. That's the one constant throughout human history, is people doing dumb shit that hurts themselves. It happens. I've done dumb shit and I've hurt myself. Cost me a lot of time and pain and agony when I did it. That's where I started out on this channel. I had a broken leg. It was from my own stupidity. So, you know, it is what it is. You can't protect people from doing dumb shit. You can't think for them. You can't be their, you know, their surrogate or their fucking, you know, you're not going to save everybody from being dumb. You know, no matter how much thought police you fucking put into the fucking world, people are going to still do dumb shit. It's not preventable. And if you keep chasing that preventability, you're going to destroy more and more freedom. So, do you want it to be prevented? Or do you want your freedom? I prefer the freedom. That's me. That's why I go out in the woods. The only thing out there that's going to do anything to you, it's nature. Nature doesn't give a shit what you think, doesn't give a shit what you say, doesn't give a shit how you feel, because nature just does what nature does. And the further you get from nature, the worse off you generally are. But what the fuck do I know anyway? Because I'm not an expert. Just a fucking asshole. Please like and subscribe for more fucking shit. And I'll make more shit. Yeah, I know, I got this fucking thing. I'm trying new shit for better audio. So, and I'm thinking of running around with this fucking thing. I know when I move it, it makes noise. I'm sorry. Forgive me. Also, head to ScottTheTruckDriver.com and leave a tip in the virtual fucking tip jar. And that'll help keep me making videos. You know, I'm running 2 channels now. Check out ScottThePhotographer if you haven't already. Subscribe if you want to see what I do. You know, even if you're not interested in photography, but you still want to know what the fuck I'm up to when I don't put a video here for a while, there might be a video there for you to watch. There's content everywhere. Also on ScottTheTruckDriver.com, I have 33 podcasts. That's 66 hours of content for you to purchase and listen to whenever you're bored and I didn't put enough fucking videos out. So there's that. And something new I'm promoting. I've gotten back into stock photography. And in the description, you can click a link to my Shutterstock portfolio. And if you are a person that uses images royalty-free and you want to help support the channel, then you can get my images. Or if you just want to print out something I did, or, you know, whatever you want to do. You can support me by purchasing those images through my Shutterstock account. Every little bit helps. So, yeah. Or just watch commercials and watch my videos and shit. Any way that you want to support this channel, I fucking appreciate it. So, I am thinking that I'm going to do the delete Facebook and delete Instagram from my phone. And only using it on the computer when I'm home. That way, I remove the temptation to sit there and stare at my fucking phone. I'm also I'm considering removing my YouTube from my phone as well. And just leaving audiobooks on there, which I've been doing a lot with. So maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe I'll pull back on my phone, still do the shit at home, or maybe do Minds. I don't know. Minds doesn't have an app. You have to just use the website when you're using your phone. So that's the option. Those are things I'm considering. I haven't committed to these things yet. But I do feel that social media has gone too far, and I need to pull back a little, to rein in some of the things that these companies know about me. Limit their ability to keep track of my thoughts and my feelings and places I visit and people I associate with. That's just my thoughts. What do you think I should do? You guys have helped me out through the years with your comments, so help me out here. What are some ways that we can take back some of the control without being essentially deplatforming ourselves from these systems? What's a nice gradual way to pull back? And I think some of the things I've discussed are on the table and definitely will be doing going forward. As far as Twitter's gone. All right. I honestly, Twitter is about fucking useless to me at this point. I am going to delete the app off my phone. I am no longer, this is your notice, if you were finding my videos through Twitter or you're using that to keep track of when I post, I will no longer post to Twitter. I'm still posting to my Facebook page, the mirror content. I'm still posting to Instagram for my photography. Other than that, anything else I do will be on my website, ScottTheTruckDriver.com or Minds.com. And I'll let you know when I do decide to do the phone deletion challenge. And I think that's where I'm headed. And, I'm on the fence a little bit about it because of, it removes some of my ability to be productive. But maybe I can channel that productivity and do other activities. So I'm strongly considering it. So let me know what you think in the comments and shit. And have a nice motherfucking day. Had to happen sooner or later. Facebook has been just getting too big for its fucking britches. So's Twitter. And now YouTube is a little bit too. So take heed, you big companies. You're fucking yourself up. It's only going to take one good innovator to come along on the internet and be like, hey, all you people that are unhappy over there, come over here. We'll take good care of you. And shit. Right now, for me, that's Minds.com with maybe a side of BitChute. BitChute isn't quite there yet for me because its video quality is pretty low. And I'm a stickler for image quality. That's why I shoot in 4K and do green screen shit. And hold big dick looking fucking microphones.